doesn't see prosecute. There's enough. Blank screens, I guess it's over. It's all dark. They're awful fast today.
All right, we'll call the December 3rd meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, are there any disclosures of interest today from our board members? If none, we'll look at the previous board meeting minutes.
Chair, I did have one thing that I'd like to get clarified on that. And it's under the Human Resources Director's report where we had the retention committee recommendations. And this is something that didn't come up during our committee and it didn't come up during the board meeting, but when we do put a credit in for the employees for the logo wear, it's technically taxable. So if we should clarify whether the county is going to pay the tax or we expected the employees to pay the tax. Again, we didn't talk about it. I think it'd be a lot cleaner if the county agreed to pay the tax, as everybody in the county has a different tax rate and we'd have literally a mess. And when we send out the email to employees saying, here's $80, but it's really $72.18 or whatever the number is. I think it'd be a lot cleaner if we said, just clarified that we will pay that tax and the employee does get $80 credit in that apparel store.
And quite frankly, my understanding was that every employee would get $80 towards.
To spend. That was the intent, that everybody.
And that's the intent, so I think, yes, us paying the tax
Okay.
makes sense. So
We'll fix the minutes
I'd
then.
correct that, I'd approve the minutes with that correction in there.
Thank you.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Review the agenda.
Chair, there are no changes.
Thank you. Consent agenda. We have 7 items.
I would move to approve the agenda.
Oh,
Second.
sorry. Any other discussion on the agenda?
Well, I just want to thank the group who put together the hazard mitigation plan. I thought that was impressive, and
Well, we're still on the one up above that, though.
Oh,
I
that's-
forgot to approve
It's
the
a
agenda. Yes.
we were on,
Yep. Not yet. I missed it, so.
Oh.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Now we're on the consent agenda. Susan?
well, I just wanted to thank the folks who put together the hazard mitigation plan. I thought it was impressive.
And I would move approval of the consent agenda, and I just want to make a comment about one item on it.
Okay. There is a motion to approve
Second.
and a second.
And the one I'd like to talk about a little bit is just the Bell Creek watershed. Jim Hadeen is getting off there. Jim's been on that board since in the 90s, 25-plus years. Last year, Les Kylo got off there. He had in excess of 30 years on there. That's an awful lot of experience walking off that watershed board. The young guys that are getting in there, the one I appointed last year, Kerry Olson, and this year Adam Kallstrom, that will be, hopefully they'll be willing to serve for a long period of time. Those watersheds are very important to Goodhue County, so I just want to thank Jim for his years of service.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Reports from our departments and officials. Land use management. We have a public hearing.
Good evening.
Good evening,
on the
Megan.
board.
Tonight, the agenda item before you is to consider proposed amendments to the Goodhue County zoning ordinance related to the regulation of cannabis land uses within the unincorporated areas of Goodhue County. The proposed changes will specifically impact Article 10 definitions, Article 11 performance standards, and Article 20 table of uses. There is in your packet an attached red line version of what is being proposed to be added into the county zoning ordinance. The public hearing tonight is before you for the formal adoption of the updates to the zoning ordinance. The notice was published in the Kenyon Leader for 2 weeks prior to the meeting. The Planning Commission did also hold a public hearing on November 18th of 2024, and no one from the public was at that meeting to address this topic. For background, the county board did approve the cannabis moratorium in July of 2024. That does expire on January 1st of this year. In October, the county board adopted the actual, what we refer to as the county cannabis ordinance. And then the next step is what we're doing tonight, which is updating the county's zoning ordinance to reflect the permitted and conditional uses in each zoning district that would regulate cannabis uses. I'll skip over the definitions. Those are straight out of state statute. Performance standards, I just want to take a moment to point out that staff is recommending that there be clarification added to the home-based business section of the county's performance standards that clarify that a cannabis business is not a permitted home-based business. There are some buffers, what our staff calls buffers, or essentially setbacks from different uses that are being recommended. Schools and daycare centers are particular setbacks that are in the ordinance. The table of uses is broken down into, we have a table of uses for agricultural districts, and then there's a table of uses for business and industrial districts. So if you see like two tables of uses that look similar, just know that one is agricultural, one is for the business districts. And then I did just want to summarize that, again, the Planning Commission did consider the ordinance before you at their November meeting. There have been no changes made between the version at the Planning Commission and the version in front of you tonight. With that, the staff recommendation is to accept the Planning Advisory Commission's staff report into record and recommend the Board of Commissioners approve the amendments to Article 10, 11, and 20, and to also hold the public hearing. Any questions?
Questions from the board?
I'm going to go to public hearing right away then. Yep. So, motion to open public hearing.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are in a public hearing. We will have 3 times we will call. Anyone would like to come up? Would anyone like to speak on public hearing? 3rd time. Would anyone else like to come up?
Move to close public hearing.
We have a motion and a second. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Meeting is closed. Any questions from the board?
Just, are these the maximums allowed by statute for setbacks?
Yes, they're the maximum allowed. So they're as restrictive as the county is allowed to be in terms of those buffers between different uses.
So if a township wanted to adopt changes into their zoning ordinance, is there anything they can make stronger than what we have? Or is this about as restrictive as it can be?
From my understanding of the state law, the township cannot be more restrictive on the buffer standards, but they can be restrictive if they have their own unique zoning ordinances that have their own unique zoning districts. And so, for example, Goodhue County agriculture districts, residential districts, commercial districts, and a few industrial districts. if there are townships that have a mixed-use district, for example, that would be something that they would have to determine, okay, in our mixed-use district, do we want to allow manufacturing and retail? Do we want to just allow retail only? So they can essentially require that or allow it as a conditional or interim use, or ban it in certain districts if they back it up with essentially justification.
Okay, so if they said they had a mixed use, we say it has to be industrial to manufacture or process, or
Yep.
we're going to be more restrictive anyway.
Correct.
It really centers around the easiest way to enforce this is if the townships did not touch it, and all of them followed this ordinance, left everything to the county. And I want to be able to say that with some certainty to townships that you don't really want to get in this. This is as restricted as it can get. Don't try to mess with it. That's kind of how I feel about it, because it will become our job to decipher their ordinance, our ordinance, and respond to the state. It's much easier if we just have to decipher this, and it's as restricted as it can get. That's just how I'm taking it. And I'm not going to tell townships, don't do anything, but I just think we want to be as restrictive as we can, and then hopefully we can just follow that.
I know you've been in contact with our cities that,
Yes.
kind of a wake-up call for some of them. They just thought, oh, the county's taking care of it, but they have to come up with their own ordinances also, so.
Yes, that is correct. So I would say most of the cities within Goodhue County are either already in the process of drafting and incorporating zoning changes to their local municipal zoning map and ordinances, or they are rolling up their sleeves and, talking to their planning commission and heavily encouraging them to make some recommendations to zoning changes.
Have you heard if AMC or Minnesota League of Minnesota Cities is coming up with a sample for them? I know a couple of them are waiting on that, but
Right, I have not followed that. The Association of Minnesota Counties has provided guidance for us, but I have not followed the league.
I would move approval to adopt the changes to our zoning ordinance as presented.
I'll second.
motion made and seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And a big thank you, Megan. You really got thrown into this, so appreciate all the work you did on it. And I know Sam had done a lot of the groundwork too, but thank you for getting this to here. Right. Is there something else I have to do?
Cannabis delegation.
Yeah,
Okay. Update on cannabis delegation agreements.
Yes, I wanted to just provide an opportunity to give you all a verbal update of where the cities are at with signing their delegation agreements. My plan is to put this on your agenda for consideration at your December 17th meeting. And what you will be seeing at that meeting would be delegation agreements with the city of Goodhue, Belchester, Zumbrota, Denison, Lake City, Kenyon, Cannon Falls. As of right now, the city of Red Wing has declined to assign delegation to the county, and Pine Island as well. Pine Islands, I believe their main reason was that they straddle two counties, and they thought it would be easier for their citizens to just have one sort of one-stop shop to get information on cannabis registration, regulations, and everything. So those will be the cities that have either already submitted hard copied signed delegation agreements to the county or are going to be sending them within the last week. I think, I don't know if I said Cannon Falls, but Cannon Falls was the last one that I'm kind of waiting on the signed copy.
Did I hear Wanamingo in there?
Wanamingo, I have the signed copy of
Okay,
Wanamingo as well.
thank you.
Yep.
so it's just Pine Island and Red Wing?
Just Pine Island and Red Wing that have decided not to delegate.
And then when they don't delegate, who has to do the compliance check?
They have to do their own compliance checks, and they also have to do their own registration, which means that they can essentially cap their own numbers however they wish within their municipality.
So knowing that we contract services for sheriff with Pine Island, does that mean it may come back to our sheriff to do compliance checks? And if it does, we don't have anything in our fee schedule to talk about how we charge for that.
Yeah, that's a good question. I do not know the answer to that.
Mr. Kelly?
Okay.
That you won't.
And is there really services out there to do that? I don't need to solve their problems. I just want to know which ones are coming our way.
To answer the first question, Pine Island knows that we won't be doing their compliance checks. I don't know if the state has ideas of coming down and doing people's compliance checks. I don't know that answer. I think those are your two questions.
Yep, you got them.
Thank you.
And we'll see that at the December meeting, that we'll be looking to accept those delegation agreements?
Correct.
Okay.
All right, that was it for land use management. Thank you. Probation Court Services Restorative Practices Grant.
Good evening.
Hello.
I'm just here to present the Restorative Practices Initiative grant that everyone had in their packet. It is due on the 6th, so any questions, comments?
You and I had a conversation about this. They do similar to this in Winona County. They talk about restorative justice for juveniles, and this grant seems to be going down that alley. You also said we used to do this work,
Yes, we did.
and
About
then the
25
money
years
dried
ago.
up, and then we quit doing it, and now we're going back to it. And I'm glad there's a funding there that we can apply for to get back on track with it, because it is the route to better success rate.
It is the route, and it makes more sense. It really does restores harm to the victim and the community, so it is much more impactful for the offender.
Linda?
I'm very excited that we're finally going to get back to the restorative justice premise. It was what, 20, 25 years ago? And there was a lot of support at the state level. And then when those people retired out, then the support went by the wayside. But for anybody who has ever been part of a restorative justice program, it really does make a huge difference as far as the accountability for the person that has gotten themselves in trouble. And I'm very, very excited to see how well you put it together and the evaluation to show that it works or it doesn't. So congratulations and thank you very much. I certainly hope,
Fingers
hope
crossed
we get it.
some money, so fingers crossed.
Is this a renewable grant, or is this a one-time?
It is renewable.
Okay, thank you.
The Department of Corrections has hired someone as restorative, and that restorative person came down to our Criminal Justice Advisory Committee and watched how we did our operation within the county and had great suggestions for us, and they will continue to kind of walk this path with us and help us as we develop the program.
Thank you.
Are you looking for us to approve to apply for the grant, or
Yes.
so moved?
Second?
In a second, any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Thank you,
Thank you
Rhonda.
for your work on that.
Thank you, Rhonda.
Public Works. Consider purchase of a motor grader roller.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
So,
I'm here to discuss purchasing or having the board consider the purchase of a motor grader roller compactor. It's not an item that we currently own. We don't have anything like that other than a pull-behind unit that we had used behind a tractor. This hasn't been included in a capital plan. It is something that we've been exploring as something that we could potentially include in a future capital plan. Came to our attention that there was a used unit available for a very reasonable price, and staff was able to actually go out and try it out. At the end of the report, you may have seen, there's a picture of what the unit actually looks like. That's the same brand. It's a stock photo from the company. I do have some photos of the actual unit that we would purchase. If the board's interested, I can send that out. But all in all, the purpose behind taking a look at trying a unit out like this is to build efficiency into our department. Currently, when we're laying out new rock on a road, when we're putting our egg surfacing on, we have to utilize someone in a tractor pulling a roller. So it's additional staff that I can avoid having out on routine projects like that. We can also utilize this for just our everyday gravel road maintenance. Presently, we don't have the ability to compact that aggregate as we're blading it, just due to a lack of available personnel. So this would help to tie the surface of the roads down, hopefully giving us more life overall, the investment that the county's put into that aggregate. So that's kind of where we're at. We would like to potentially utilize dollars available in our current budget due to cost savings realized from relatively late 23-24 winter.
Any questions from the board?
That question, you can use that when you're shouldering too, can't you?
Yep.
So that
The unit
that would
will-
reduce that staff time and added safety because you got one less piece of equipment out there.
Yep, so there's three, what we propose to do if we would purchase this unit, there's three independent hydraulics that control three separate tire units, and you can run any combination you want if it's plumbed correctly. So we would make that change with this unit, be able to toggle individual sections on or off. And then the unit also articulates. So your motor grader can sit in the lane of traffic. The roller unit can articulate over and roll that shoulder if need be. So it does have some nice flexibility for us. One of the primary reasons the unit that we're looking at is that the contractor does not want to continue using it. They do a lot of dirt grading with it, and it's a lot of extra weight on the back of a motor grader. So it poses a lot of issues with him when he's trying to do dirt grading versus just blading aggregates.
I'd move approval that we go through with the purchase and get it in use.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Human Resources.
I apologize. All right, with apologies. Good evening. The first item before you tonight is the county surveyor selection process. So as we're all aware, we've been through a study of the structure of land use management this year, and with the board's approval back in September, the county surveyor position was posted. We had a couple of applicants. Interviews were conducted November 26th with a panel of both internal and external participants. After that thorough review of the candidates, the panel was unanimously supportive of making an offer to Mr. Jeff Ekblad. His qualifications as a licensed surveyor combined with his extensive experience for Goodhue County make him the ideal candidate for this position. What's before you tonight is that the position is under review and appeal by our compensation consultant. And so pending the outcome of that, we are asking for Mr. Ekblad to be placed at either step 10 of grade 117 or step 9 of grade 118, depending on the disposition of that appeal process. And that, with that information, we're asking for the board to approve to promote and appoint Mr. Jeff Ekblad as the county surveyor at the recommended grade and step, and with approval of the appointment, the oath of office would be administered and a start date to be determined.
Questions from the board?
I would move approval to offer that to Mr. Ekblad, and also for the staff to send a thank you letter to the Rice County Surveyor for helping us with that process.
Second?
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Congratulations.
Congrats. Thank you.
All right. The next item before you is a request for 2025 compensation for non-union employees. As you all know, our collective bargaining agreements have settled with a 3% general wage adjustment to the scale for 2025, and we're asking for that same 3% general wage adjustment to be extended to non-union staff to remain with everyone on a single pay grid for 2025.
Move approval, Anderson.
Second, Flanders?
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jeff Ekblad, County Surveyor, Recorder, Oath of Office, Surveyor Recorder. Bring your own paperwork? Got a copy too?
I don't.
Okay.
Actually, I think I might have.
Okay. Hard to read and.
Well, congratulations,
You want to
Jeff.
come up and around? Let's come back up here. Which one do you want to do first?
County Surveyor?
Okay.
All right.
Repeat after me, please. I, Jeff Ekblad,
I, Jeff Ekblad,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of County Surveyor
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office of the County Surveyor
for Goodhue County, Minnesota,
for Goodhue County, Minnesota,
to which I have been appointed to the best of my judgment and ability.
to which I have been appointed to the best of my judgment and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Oath of office for the Goodhue County Recorder position. I, Jeffrey Ekblad, do solemnly swear
I, Jeffrey Ekblad, do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
that I will support the Constitution of the United States of America
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of the office
of the County Recorder for the County of Goodhue,
of the County Recorder for the County of Goodhue,
State of Minnesota,
State of Minnesota,
to which I have been appointed to the best of my judgment and ability,
to which I have been appointed to the best of my judgment and ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Who stamps those? Are they notarized? How to do that, Andy? Awesome.
Congrats. Thank you.
Thanks for your service. Congratulations.
Administration, AMC update.
Yeah, just a couple updates. Wanted to thank the Melbourne workers for turning in stuff for the gift donation basket that we do every year. And also, I wanted to congratulate Goodhue County. Thank you, Commissioner Flanders, for your leadership on that. I know there's a lot of staff, and I know also the City of Red Wing had a lot of people involved, and a lot of people throughout the state, so that's a great thing. I didn't have my microphone, so I'd probably restate it, but Goodhue County will be getting the Board of Water and Soil Resources Award at the AMC conference, so.
Cool.
And that is, I believe, Tuesday at noon, so
Very, very exciting.
Awesome.
that's all I had for the update.
Information, we have a capital plan, a debt service report, a ditch fund, and a fund balance. Any questions on those? Project status report? How about new and old business? Review and approve the county claims.
Move to pay the bills.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Committee reports. How about adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, everyone. Meeting is adjourned. Maybe Aaron knows.